Hey guys, have you been getting confused about what these terms are? Remote monitoring, traditional monitoring, risk-based monitoring? Well, in today's video, we're discussing remote monitoring. So what is remote monitoring? Hey guys, ECRG here, back with another video. Today we're going to be discussing remote monitoring. What is remote monitoring? So like you see in the stock footage here, you've got a phone, a landline device. And obviously remote means from far away or in a different location than. So you're going to be monitoring the site, PI, study coordinator, whoever's at the site personnel, and their data remotely. So why is this important? Well, with the new ICH GCP R2 regulations that went in place in 2016, 2015, the industry is just now catching up with those regulations, and it has opened the door for what is called remote monitoring, as well as risk-based monitoring, but we're not going to confuse you there today. Remote monitoring is a style of monitoring to be used in conjunction pretty much with traditional monitoring. But usually they'll have someone like a remote monitor who can do a lot of the things that the CRA normally does on site remotely. Because the CRA only has to go on site for a few things. One, to talk to the PI face-to-face and the study coordinator face-to-face if they want to get that face-to-face connection, which is always important. That will never be replaced by, Skype, WebEx, phone. The face-to-face will never get replaced. So that is very important. So don't underestimate that. But the two things that a CRA has to do on site that can't be done remotely right now are IP accountability. So they've got to check the IP. They've got to check that the IP is being stored correctly. They've got to check that the number of pills have been administered like they say in the system. Like the study coordinator has been reporting in RAVE, they've got to, or on the source documentation, they've got to say that, the IP matches up there. The investigational product matches up there. So that's the first thing, IP accountability. The second thing is source data verification. So whatever forms that the patient is filling out or the study coordinator is filling out, whatever medical records or anything that's collected there, they've got to check that versus what's entered into the EDC, electronic data capture system. I keep saying RAVE because that's a popular one that I've got a lot of experience with. It's called metadata RAVE. So they also make a CTMS, a clinical trial management system, but they're famous for their clinical trials applications that are used widely throughout the industry. So those are the two things, source data verification and IP accountability, that CRAs must do on site. Now everything else, if we're talking document collection, unless they want wet inks, then that has to be done on site as well. But typically document collection can be collected remotely. So if a new study coordinator is coming onto the study, they're going to need a financial disclosure form. They're going to need that documentation, so they're going to have to send that into the CRO. They're going to need any type of licensure if that person is licensed by anybody. If they're a nurse, they're going to want that license. They're going to need a CV of that person. They're going to need their ICH GCP training confirmation. So all of these documents have to be submitted to the CMA or CRA and put into the trial master file. And we've done videos on the TMF before if you're new to clinical research, but all that stuff has to be collected. And the CRA does not necessarily have to be on site to collect them. So that can be done by a remote monitor. So, there's a number of things that can be done. Document collection is one of them. Also, they can review the data in the electronic data capture system. They can issue queries in the electronic data capture system. This can all be done remotely. So this all goes into remote monitoring. When they basically monitor the data, make sure it's accurate, make sure it's coming in on time, because that's a big thing. Sometimes sites like to enter data late, and sponsors don't like that. They want to be able to analyze the data as it's coming in a relatively efficient and quick manner to see if there's going to be any problems or foresee any problems in the future. So, that's basically what a remote monitor is. They're going to be doing anything and everything. And they can be conducting monitoring calls, monthly monitoring calls, or however the window is that the sponsor would like. Sometimes it's monthly, sometimes it could be bi-monthly, sometimes it can be bi-weekly. Just depends. And not even all studies do calls. Some are email based. I've been on a handful that are email based, where you just email the site all the information, you tell them what you need, they email it back. So some sponsors don't even want to pay for the time it takes to do calls, so they'd rather do emails. Preferably, I prefer doing the calls because it provides a lot more structure, but the emails are okay too. Because through email you can only get but so much interaction with the person, but over the phone on calls, a lot more interaction. So I prefer that. That's just my personal opinion. So all of this goes into remote monitoring. You use your tools at your disposal, your phone and your email, to collect these documents, interact with the site, let them know what's going on. And that's why it's so important, for one, that you can type correctly and efficiently, and your professionalism is on point, because you're going to be doing a lot of interaction with the sites and a lot of interaction with all these different groups, vendors, the project team, the clinical team, your CRA, this study coordinator, sometimes the PI. So you got to make sure that you are well versed in your communication and you are on point there. So that's remote monitoring. I broke it down a little bit there. In another video we're going to talk about all the things that go on that you talk about during a remote monitoring call. So we're going to go a little bit further in there. And, we touched on it briefly, but we're going to go really in depth onto everything that is asked during a remote monitoring call. And if I ever have to do one, we're going to go over that one too. What I typically ask and some of the questions I ask. And you'll see, the more you do the remote monitoring calls, the better you'll get at them. And that's the same thing with anything in clinical research, anything in life, pretty much. The more practice you have, the better you're going to be at it. So that's it for this video, guys. Like it if you like it, share it if you would like to share it, but definitely hit that subscribe button. If you're listening right now, just go right on down, hit that red subscribe button. It's right there. So simple. All right, guys. Take care.